Mic check 1 2 1 2. Audio check 1 3.
When I go look for them, when I go in the house, I didn't know later when they call me. In a bar, man.
1 3 1 3. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Audio check. 1. 1 2 1 2. Clement, try the mic by.
1 2 1 2 1 2. Microphone check. Jimmy, you can hear me? Can you hear me? Do we have a level? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You good? Huh? All right. You don't know. Hey, call them outside now, Jimmy, one time. You don't see what name people you look. You don't go to see what name you focus on the paper.
What direction I go? I can see your name is in your sheet. You see my name in your sheet, you can see that. My manager has the names, so I have no need to be thinking of names. So once the round comes, she already know. Just all you do is just pick the paper and write. And then people that they plan it still. But man that don't even also since 3 o'clock, I come on. But I would miss you. Nature, only thing on Facebook and all already. I don't understand how I'm born and raised in a Christian home. So far from what his parents.
So because I asked God to pray, but God doesn't pray.
So let him pray for you to even say no. No, no is not part of that. I don't even know that's what your mother will tell you. Man raised in a Christian home.
I think that Bobby please.
$1 million man. One raised in a Christian home, they were not doing things in terms of how he was raised.
Stadium. It's time for another journey in the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament. We're about to embark on the 5th edition of this competition. Of course, my name is Gavin Richards, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to the stadium, the 6 franchises, as well as the head table. Let's start with the introductions. We have the General Secretary of the Dominica Cricket Association, Ms. Dada Matthew, the First Vice President, Mr. Jamie John Baptist, the President, Mr. Clement Masler, and of course, David Johnson, another member of the Cricket Association. The 6 franchises, again, welcome. Without you, this would not be possible. We'd like to acknowledge the defending champions, the Champion Reef Divers, the Valley Hikers, T2 Gorge Splashers, the Indian River Rowers, Sari Sari Sunrisers, and the Barana Ote Warriors. Well, my job here this afternoon is very simple. We're going to be coordinating the draft. Over 50 overseas-based players and 100 local players, over 100 of them, in the draft, and they will find out where they will be playing this afternoon for the 5th edition of the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament, which gets underway on the 23rd of June. So before we start the proceedings, we'd like to invite the Lord into our presence, and we'd like to ask the President of the Dominica Cricket Association, Mr. Clement Masler, to lead us in a word of prayer, and we'd like to invite everyone to stand.
Eternal Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another day. We thank you for your grace. We thank you for bringing us here. Father, as we are about to go through this draft process, we pray, oh God, that all teams would have favor and that the best results would be obtained at everything that we do. We thank you for your power. We thank you for your might. We thank you for good health. And we pray, oh God, that this tournament, again, will be another success. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Masler. Before we head into the draft, we'll just have some welcoming remarks from the First Vice President of the Dominica Cricket Association, Mr. Jamie John Baptist. Mr. John Baptist, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody, once again. Welcome to the draft for the 5th edition of the Dream 11 T10 tournament in Dominica. We'd just like to welcome each and every franchise, those returning managers, those returning coaches, and a special welcome to the new ones. That is the new one. That is Mr. Gerald George, manager of the Sari Sari. Yeah, as we gather here today, I just hope that, and I pray that every team is well prepared and they get the selections that they wanted in the right position so that this could enable us to have a very competitive tournament, even better than last year. So I just take the time to tell every manager and every coach, and even the nature boy in some instances, to enjoy the process and select responsibly and with plenty thought in mind so that the outcome on the field could be in your best favor. Welcome once again.
All right, thank you very much, Jamie John Baptist. We're moving along smoothly and quickly. We'll have the launch of the digital fixtures. Of course, you can view that on the social media pages of the Dominica Cricket Association. The fixtures, like we said, the competition gets underway on the 23rd of June and will run until the 6th of July. So lots of cricket action right here at Windsor Park. We're going to head straight into the draft now. Of course, a lot of us are familiar with the rules, so we will bypass that and head straight into the draft. And of course, the teams have already been appointed with their nature boys and some pre-selected overseas-based players. So we'll start with the Valley Hikers, nature boy Stefan Pascal. For the Indian River Rowers, it's Cavem Hodge. The D-Treads, T2 Gorge Splashers, Jelani Robinson. For the Champion Reef Divers, Alec Athanase. For the Sari Sari Sunrisers, Tyrone Theophil. And for the Barana Ote Warriors, Jovin Gian Benjamin. Like we said, the teams have already been appointed some overseas-based players. So, for example, the Valley Hikers, Raishon Williams. Indian River Rowers, Ryan John. For the D-Treads, T2 Gorge Splashers, Gidron Pope. For the Champion Reef Divers, Rakim Cornwall. For the Sari Sari Sunrisers, Kofi James. For the Barana Ote Warriors, Sadrak Descartes. And, of course, these are the pre-selected overseas players. Each team also had the opportunity to retain some players, and as we go through the course of the draft, we will indicate the retained players when their slots come up. All right, so Like we said, we're all familiar with the rules. For example, only 2 players under the age of 18 can play in the final 11. All the teams are allowed 3 overseas-based players, but only 2 can feature on match day. And the second and the third overseas-based players selected will be paid in that assigned bracket. Teams, of course, will pick in their assigned slots. So we're all familiar with the rules. Let's get on with the draft. The moment that everyone has been waiting for at home. Like we said, over 100 cricketers, locally based cricketers in the draft, and over 50 overseas-based players are in the draft. So we're going to start off with the first pick. And the Indian River Rowers. You're on the clock with the first pick in the draft. And their pick has already been made, so. So the Indian River Rowers this afternoon being represented by head coach Augustine Beno Pascal and the team manager Claudia Sanford. And the first pick this afternoon from the Indian River Rowers, and they have selected Jasion Alexander with the first pick in this draft. So Jasion Alexander, of course, played for the Champagne Reef Divers in the last edition. And we can see that Phoenix Thomas is already disappointed that he's lost one of his better players. But this now brings the D10 Blazers, the D10 T2 Gold Splashers. Mixing up the sports here, man, mixing up the sports. So it's the D10 T2 Gold Splashers. And of course, they're on the clock. They have already made their pick. And they have selected Malachi Xavier. So he's staying home, he's staying put. Or he's coming back, actually. So Malachi Xavier coming back home for the T2 Gorge D-Thread Splashers. All right, we're moving along nicely. The third pick, well, the Valley Hikers, they have already retained Micah Joseph. And with the fourth pick, the Barano Ote Warriors, they've retained Stephen Natram. That's an overseas-based player. So now the Sari Sunrisers, you're on the clock with the fifth pick in the first round. So the Sari Sunrisers were finalists last year. Let's see if they can rebound, make a repeat, or even do better and win the championship. Well, Sari Sunrisers, they've selected Jason Vidal with their first pick. Jason Vidal was recently the under-19 captain for the national team in the Windward Islands under-19 tournament, and he's staying home with the Sari Sunrisers. All right, with the final pick in round number 1, the Champagne Reef Divers, well, they've already selected, or retained, I should say, Cheyenne Brathwaite. So now we're heading straight into round number 2. And with round number 2 is the Champagne Reef Divers with the first pick. So the Champagne Reef Divers with their first pick in round number 2. They've selected Lenico Boucher, who hails from Barbados, and he's making a return to the team, having played for them in their last championship run, Phoenix. Lenico Boucher was third edition. Lenico Boucher was key, helping the Champagne Reef Divers to that championship. Well, the second pick in round number 2, Barano Ote Warriors, and they've already retained the services of Gillan Tyson. Gillan Tyson is currently in Trinidad and Tobago with the Windward Islands senior team, And they'll be taking on the Leeward Islands Hurricanes tomorrow. He had his first 5-wicket haul at the regional level last week, and we wish him all the best. But he's going to be playing for the Barana Ote Warriors once again. Sorry, Sunrisers, you're now on the clock with the third pick in round number 2. So with the third pick in round number 2, well, this player is going to have a new home. He featured for the Barana Ote Warriors for a number of seasons. Mervyn Matthew has been selected.
Moving on the draft.
Mervyn Matthew has been selected by the Sari Sunrisers with the third pick in the draft. Let's move along to pick number 4, the Valley Hikers, and they have already pre-selected or retained Vincent Lewis. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, so we'll just complete the already pre-selected players for round number 2. Indian River Rowers, they have retained Darren Ned, and the T2 Gorge, or that should be the D10 T2 Gorge Splashers will be next, but we're going to take a little break, and then we'll come back. So we're taking a little break right now, and then we'll come back. Find out if the mic's off. All right, everyone, welcome back to the player draft for the 5th edition of the Dream 11H ILT10 tournament. We just had some housekeeping matters that we had to deal with. So for the benefit of the listeners, those following at home, the Sari Sunrisers had selected Mervyn Matthew with their pick in round number 2, their third pick in round number 2. However, unfortunately, Mervyn Matthew is not part of the draft. So as a result of that, the Sari Sunrisers will have to pick again at the end of the round. So that will be after the D-Threads T2 Gold Splashers have picked. And for those who are wondering, we're just enforcing rule number 8, which states that teams have 60 seconds to submit their picks. Failure to do so will result in the team being demoted to the last pick of the round where applicable. So that is applicable here this afternoon. So Sari Sunrisers, you will pick right after we've gotten the pick from the D-Threads T2 Gold Splashers. And are you ready with your pick, Jelani and Mervyn Thomas? All right, so with the 5th pick in round 2, the D-Threads T2 Gold Splashers have selected Dylan Douglas. So Dylan Douglas will be with the T2 Gold Splashers. And before we complete round 2, we will just go back to the Sari Sunrisers, who will make their pick to complete the round. So Sari Sunrisers, you're now on the clock. Right, so the Sari Sunrisers, with their pick in round number 2, they've selected Kyron Phillip. So Kyron Phillip will be playing for the Sari Sunrisers in this edition. All right, so we're moving along to round number 3. And with round number 3 is the T2 Gold Splashers with the first pick. And the D-Thread T2 Gold Splashers with the first pick in round number 3 have selected Daniel Dupeny. So Daniel Dupeny is moving across to the T2 Gold Splashers. Valley Hikers, they had the second pick in round number 3, and they've already retained Delani Alexander. The Indian River Rowers with the third pick in round number 3 have already retained Lee Louisi. And this now brings the Sari Sunrisers on the clock again with their pick in round number 3. All right, so the Sari Sunrisers with the 4th pick in round number 3 have selected Darren Benter. He's an overseas-based player, and Sam Kernon and Gerald George, Tyron Theophil will tell us a lot more about him when we get into the interview part of this draft. All right, so the Champagne Reef Divers, with their pick, they have already retained the services of Brian Joseph. And this now brings the Barano Ote Warriors on the clock with the final pick in round number 3. And with the final pick In round number 3, the Barana Ute Warriors have selected Sholon George. So this brings us to the end of round number 3. And we're heading straight into round number 4. The Barana Ute Warriors, well, they have the first pick in round number 4, and they've already retained the services of Kamal Hamilton, the leading wicket taker in the last edition of the Dream 11 HIL T10 tournament. So Mate is staying home with the Barana Ute Warriors. Sari Sunrisers, you're next on the clock with the second pick in round number 4. So this T10 draft, of course, gives teams a chance to, go back to the drawing books, maybe reshuffle things, improve on their combinations. And the Sari Sunrisers seem to be doing just so. They've selected Neil Payne with their pick in round number 4, the second pick in round number 4. This now brings the Champagne Reef Divers on the clock, and they've already retained the services of Kurt Nyansem. So now it's the Indian River Rowers, and you have 60 seconds to make your pick, which will be the 4th pick in round number 4. Augustine Beno Pascal and Claudia Sanford representing the Indian River Rowers here this afternoon. The nature boy, of course, Kavem Hodge. The chief advisor for the Indian River Rowers, Joel Mingo. Let's see who Joel Mingo has helped them pick this afternoon. All right, so the Indian River Rowers with the 4th pick in round number 4. They selected Yowani Regis. So that's a big blow for the Champagne Reef Divers. All right, so now the 5th pick in round number 4. D-Threads, T2 Gold Splashes. And we're already seeing some interesting picks. Some players already seeing some new homes in the 5th edition. And the D-Threads, T2 Gold Splashers with their pick, the 5th pick in round number 4, have selected Keyshawn Viville. So another player on the move as the T2 Gold Splashers look to be, or seem to be regrouping. Now for the final pick in round number 4. And we will have the Valley Hikers. We'll have the final pick. And their pick is already in. Kevin James and Gary Benjamin and Ray Kazimi not wasting any time here this afternoon. And the Valley Hikers with their pick, well, they've selected Jason Lamoff with their final pick in this round. So the Valley Hikers had the last pick in round number 4, and they will have the first pick in round number 5. Valley Hikers, you're now on the clock. And the Valley Hikers with the first pick in round number 5 have selected Kine George. Kine George, of course, the wicketkeeper for the national under-19 cricket team, which finished 3rd place in the Windward Islands under-19 tournament last weekend. And with the Valley Hikers making their selection, it's now time for the Indian River Rowers to make the second pick in round number 5. Well, this is a very interesting pick as the Indian River Rowers are really reshaping that squad for this edition of the tournament. And the Indian River Rowers have selected Edmund Moranci with the second pick in round number 5. Edmund, another one of the young and upcoming talents here in Dominica's cricket, represented the national under-19 team as well on the last tournament. He's also a youth Windward Islands player. And now he's going to be plying his trade for the Indian River Rowers. Well, D-Threads, T2 Gold Splashers, you're on the clock again with the 3rd pick in round number 5. And the picks are coming in very quickly. So with the 3rd pick in round number 5, T2 Gold Splashers, they've selected Elton Mark with their pick. Now it's time for the defending champions, the Champion Reef Divers, with their 4th pick in round number 5. So the Champion Reef Divers are ready. They've lost some key players already in the draft. Let's see what they will do this time. Well, they've selected the top order batsman, Luvio Charles, the Champion Reef Divers. So Luvio Charles, who was also part of the national under-19 cricket team, is going to be playing for the Champion Reef Divers. Now for the 5th pick in round number 5, the Barano Ute Warriors, you're on the clock. So this player is going to be finding a new home with the Barano Ute Warriors. Kazimi Benjamin is moving from the T2 Gold Splashers across to the Barano Ute Warriors. So the wicketkeeper batsman Kazimi Benjamin is the selection for the Barano Ute Warriors. All right, so now to conclude round number 5 is the Sari Sunrisers, and they've already retained the services of Junior Gervais. So now we're going to head straight into round number 6, and the Sari Sunrisers, they have the first pick, and they've already also retained the services of Tyrese Leblanc. So now we're going into the second pick in round number 6, and that means that the Champion Reef Divers, you're on the clock. Right, so the Champagne Reef Divers with the second pick in round number 6. They've selected Clemenson Libla. So with the selection of Clemenson Libla, this now brings the Barano OT Warriors on the clock with the third pick in round number 6. All right, so the Barano OT Warriors with the third pick in round number 6 have selected Odiama Honore. So Odiama Honore will be with the Barano OT Warriors in this edition. With that selection, we now move to the fourth pick in round number 6. That pick belongs to the D-Threads T2 Gorge Splashers, and they've already retained the services of Joel Dura, another one of the under-19 players. So now we're moving on to the fifth pick in round number 6, and that will mean that it's time for the Valley Hikers to let us know who they're going to select. All right, so the Valley Hikers with their pick, the fifth pick in round number 6, they've selected Savio Ansem. So Savio Ansem moving from T2 Gorge Splashers, and he'll now be playing his trade for the Valley Hikers. All right, so Indian River Rowers, you now have the final pick in round number 6. All right, so with the final pick in round number 6, Indian River Rowers, they selected one of the newcomers to the Windward Islands under-19 team, Jelani Joseph. So Jelani Joseph, who is also the son of the former president, Glenn Joseph, he's going to be playing for the Indian River Rowers in this year's edition of the tournament. So that brings us to the end of round number 6, and we're moving quickly into round number 7. Indian River Rowers have the first pick, and that pick is already in. So the Indian River Rowers with the first pick in round number 7 have selected Diony Roll. Diony Roll, one of the under-19 players as well, so very encouraging to see so many of the players who represented Dominica at the under-19 Windward Islands tournament getting selected here this afternoon. All right, so with that pick, we're going on to the second pick in round number 7, which belongs to the D-Thread T2 Gorge Splashers, and they have already retained the services of Lex McGlaw. So that means now that the Valley Hikers, you're now on the clock with the third pick in round number 7. Right, so the Valley Hikers, with their pick in round number 7, they have gone overseas. They've gone across the border and they've selected Jeval St. Paul. So Gary Benjamin and Kevin James will tell us a lot more about Jeval St. Paul when we get into the interview segment. But now, with that pick, it's now time for the Barano Oti Warriors to make their pick in round number 7. They have the 4th pick. Right, so the Barano Oti Warriors of the 4th pick in round number 7 have selected Jamie James. So Jamie James will be playing for the Barano Oti Warriors. This now brings the Sari Sunrisers on the clock with the 5th pick in round number 7. The Sari Sunrisers with their pick in the 7th round. They're going to be going with Ethan Doctrove. So Ethan Doctrove, the 5th pick in round number 7 to the Sari Sunrisers. And now for the final pick in round number 7. That belongs to the Champagne Reef Divers. And Phoenix and Kimara, you're now on the clock with your pick. So with the final pick in this round, round number 7, Champagne Reef Divers have selected Kimron George. Kimron George, the final pick in round number 7 for the Champagne Reef Divers. So we've noticed the trend. If you pick last, you're going to pick first in the next round. Champagne Reef Divers, you're on the clock as we start off with round number 8. All right, so the Champagne Reef Divers are going to get us started in round number 8. And with the first pick in round number 8, the Champagne Reef Divers have selected Sherwin Lavassier. So with that pick, it now means that the Barano Oti Warriors are on the clock with the second pick in round number 8. So as we await the pick from the Barano Oti Warriors, we also want to acknowledge all the fans, all the supporters of the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament. You know, without the fans, this tournament will not really make much sense. Fans always come out in their numbers every day to support the good, exciting cricket. All right, moving on with the draft. Barano Oti Warriors picking a familiar face with round number 8, their second pick in round number 8, Fabian Benjamin has been selected by the Barano Oti Warriors. This now means that the Sari Sunrisers are on the clock with the third pick in round number 8. So we can see Sam and Tyrone Theophil and Gerald George having a cabinet discussion there as they look to make their pick. All right, so their pick is in. Sorry, Sunrisers. Third pick in round number 8. And the Sorry Sunrisers are going for some veteran leadership. And with their pick, they've selected Kirsten Kazemi. So with that pick, Kirsten Kazemi, this now brings the Valley Hikers on the clock with the 4th pick in round number 8. So with the 4th pick in round number 8, the Valley Hikers have selected Alvinson Jolly. So now moving on to the 5th pick in round number 8, Indian River Rowers. You're on the clock. So, Indian River Rowers, again, after some deliberations with Joel Mingo, who's joining them via Zoom. Indian River Rowers seem to have selected Ethan Doctrove. But I believe that Ethan Doctrove has already been selected by Sorry Sunrisers. So we're going to have to invoke rule number 8. We're invoking rule number 8. So the Indian River Rowers, you're going to have to pick again, but you're going to pick last in the round. Oh, is this up? All right, so the D10 T2 Gorge Splashers, with the final pick in round number 8, they have retained the services of John Matthew. So this means now that the Indian River Rowers, you have 60 seconds to give us your pick in round number 8. All right, so I believe this will bring us to the end of round number 8. Indian River Rowers, with the final pick in the round, have selected Jason Paris. So Jason Paris will be the final pick in round number 8. The D-Threads, T2 Gorge Splashers will get us underway with the first pick in round number 9. And Jelani Robinson and Mervyn Thomas not wasting any time. Seem to have really done their homework. Their picks are coming in as soon as their names are called. And with the first pick in round number 9, the D-Thread T2 Gorge Splashers have selected Jeremy Isaac. All right, so now it's time for the second pick in round number 9, and that pick belongs to the Valley Hikers. All right, so the Valley Hikers with their pick in round number 9. The second pick, they've selected Gary Daniel with their selection. We're now moving on to the third pick in round number 9. That pick belongs to the Indian River Rowers. And while we're with the pick from the Indian River Rowers, we want to acknowledge some of our valuable partners in this Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament. Speaking of Vibian TV, Coca-Cola, Trapito Water, always on board with the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament. We also want to acknowledge some of the other major sponsors, Auto Trade, D-Trades, of course, owners of a franchise, Do It Center, Connect 767, so many sponsors on board to help make this product the product that it is. All right, with the pick now in round number 9, the Indian River Rowers, they've selected CJ Charles with the third pick in round number 9. So with 3 picks down, we're heading into pick number 4. And the Sari Sunrisers have already retained the services of Delroy Liverpool with their pick in round number 9. So it's now time for the Champagne Reef Divers to make their pick, the 5th pick in round number 9. And with the 5th pick in round number 9, the Champagne Reef Divers, the defending champions, have selected Ajanim Taverny. And now we'll look to complete round number 9 with the final pick, and that pick belongs to the Barana Utui Warriors. The Warriors sticking with one of their old faithfuls. Barana Uti Warriors with the final pick in round number 9 have selected Owen Burton. So that brings us to the end of round number 9, ladies and gentlemen, and those viewing at home. Just 2 more rounds to go, and I can bet you a number of the cricketers are quite nervous right now, wondering if they will be among the final 12 players to be selected to be part of this amazing cricket tournament, the 5th edition of the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament. All right, so heading into round number 10, Barana Oti Warriors, you're going to have the first pick in this round. So as we continue with the draft, again, we want to acknowledge some of our major partners. We're speaking of the likes of Harris Paints and Bullseye Pharmacy. Val Coffee, want to say good afternoon to you. I know you're tuned in, listening. Also, D Threads, Donnie Robinson and the crew down there at Canefield. But as we get round 10 underway, the Barano OT Warriors, with the first pick in round number 10, have selected Damian Thomas. So Damian Thomas, the first pick in round number 10, and he'll be playing for the Barano OT Warriors. All right, moving on to pick number 2 in round number 10. It's the Sari Sunrisers, and you're now on the clock. And with the second pick in round number 10, Sari Sunrisers, finalists last year, they've selected Rick James. So with the selection of Rick James, with the second pick in round number 10, we're moving on to the third pick, and that third pick belongs to the defending champions, the Champagne Reef Divers. So with the third pick in round number 10, Champagne Reef Divers. They've selected Sebastian Brumont with their pick. So now this brings us on to the fourth pick in the 10th round. That pick belongs to the Indian River Rowers. And the Indian River Rowers, with the fourth pick in round number 10, have gone with Akan Edwards. So Akan Edwards has been selected by the Indian River Rowers. This now brings us on to the fifth pick in round number 10, and that pick belongs to the D-Thread T2 Gorge Splashers. And the T2 Gorge Splashers, with their pick in round number 10, have selected Lawrence Wilshire. Lawrence Wilshire is the fifth pick in round number 10 for the D-Threads T2 Gorge Splashers. So now we're heading into the final pick in round number 10. That pick belongs to the Valley Hikers. And the Valley Hikers, with the final pick in round number 10, have selected Curvel Marie. So Curvel Marie will be the final pick in round number 10. So now we're heading into the final round, or what we will call this year the Clement Marsler round, where you have the honor of being the last pick. So the Valley Hikers will start us off in the 11th round with their final pick in this year's draft. And with the final pick for the Valley Hikers, first pick in round number 11, they've selected Amiel Gilbert. So this brings us to the Indian River Rowers to make their final pick in this draft. So the Indian River Rowers with 60 seconds on the clock. And their final pick is on its way. Indian River Rowers with the final pick in round number 11. Well, with their final pick in the draft, have selected Sachin Thomas. So Sachin Thomas will be playing for the Indian River Rowers. We're moving on to the third pick in round 11, which will be the final pick for the D-Threads T2 Splashers. And with the final pick in round 11 for the D-Thread T2 Splashers, they've selected Bryce Robinson. This now brings the Champagne Reef Divers on the clock with their final pick in round 11. And the most luckiest guy that I know seems to be very fortunate with the numbers. I think I will contact him so I can maybe be as fortunate as well. But with the final pick in round 11, and this pick is surely going to bring some excitement and some flair to the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament. He's going to be transitioning from the Bouillon stage with their final pick in round 11. The Champagne Reef Divers have really oohed everyone. They've selected Kenny John Baptist, aka Kenny G. And Kenny G will be making an appearance in the Dream 11 Nature Isle T10 tournament. So now we're moving on to the Barano OT Warriors, who will have their final pick in round number 11. Of course, Kenny G recently was in blazing form in the intermediate cricket round. We had some very big scores, quick scores as well, so he's well suited for this version of the competition. But with the final pick for the Barano OT Warriors, the fifth pick in round number 11, the Warriors have selected Kimani Henry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we've come to that point of the draft where we're down to the final pick. And the final pick will belong to the Sari Sari Sunrisers. So for all of the cricketers back home, this is the final opportunity to get into the 5th edition of the Dream 11 Nature IL T10 tournament. And with the final pick in this year's draft, of course, that player will get the Clement Masley Award. But the Sari Sunrisers have selected Kenneth Valmore with the final pick in this year's draft for the 5th edition of the Dream 11 Nature IL T10 tournament. So ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the draft. It flew by very quickly. The squads have been identified. We have an idea where everyone will be playing for the cricket tournament, which starts on the 23rd of June. At this point in time, before we wrap up, we'll just have some quick words from a representative of each of the franchises. So we'd like to invite, we'll start off with the Champagne Reef Divers, the defending champions. And a representative from the Champagne Reef Divers can quickly come up and have a quick word with us, and they'll just explain the reasoning behind some of their selections. So with us now is the coach of the Champagne Reef Divers, Phoenix Thomas. And Phoenix Thomas, in a nutshell, can you just summarize your selections for this year's or this edition of the Dream 11 Nature IL T10 tournament?
Well, basically what we did as defending champions, obviously, you know, all the teams are going to be coming at you. We went back to guys like Lenny Cole, who really made a mark 2 editions ago, Cheyenne, and we're having a big Jimbo Rakim Cornwall back. So having those overseas players with Brian Joseph Courtney as our 2 local guys who are top of our senior cricket, we just blended the other guys along with them and hoping that we can defend our title.
You lost some, key players who were instrumental in guiding you to the championship last year. So how did you sort of replace them, filling that gap?
Well, we knew we were going to lose a lot of players because people obviously, they wait until they see talent to want them. And we see that happening, so we expected that. We're not quite happy about it, but obviously we're always planning ahead. So we had replacements in case that very thing happened. So we ensured that even we're losing players, yes, we're not going to dwell on spilled milk. So we went right ahead and we just replaced them quickly and ensured that we had a good combination of, young guys, seasoned guys, experienced guys, and we think that we can defend our title very well.
All right, and very quickly, the big pick, or I should say the surprising pick, the pick of Kenny John Baptist. What does Kenny G bring to your team?
Well, obviously, when you're going into tournaments, you have to look at the cricket that is played locally. I mean, that's a guy, people know him for his music, but when you look at the scores in the intermediate league, which is white ball and which is quick scoring, we see that he was among the top scorers. So people obviously thought that he only could handle a mic, and then he surprised them. So he is our surprise package, as he was the surprise package in the intermediate league.
All right, well, thank you very much, Phoenix Thomas. All the best in the tournament. All right, so let's move on. We'll invite someone from the Valley Hikers to come up and give a quick word. Valley Hikers, of course, represented by Gary Benjamin, Ray Kazemi, and Kevin James is also there with us this afternoon. But coming to the head table is Mr. Ray Kazemi. Ray, quite an interesting draft. Just your overall thoughts on the selections.
It's a good draft. I mean, we know that guys would have come out there and pick the best of the players. So my team put a good team together. So let's just see what happens in the draft.
All right. In terms of some of the players that you're able to retain and select, just a quick word on them. Which players really stand out for you?
Well, seeing that I wasn't really there in the last edition, I left it up to Kevin and the manager to practically do the most of the work. So I just follow them so that we can put a good team together.
All right, you've been able to, keep guys like Delani Alexander, Vincent Lewis, Ryshawn Williams, basically the core of your team last edition. So how do you think this is going to help you as you prepare for the tournament?
Well, as you said, they're the core of the team, and we depend on them to take the team forward and to move and to get the other guys to blend in with them. Ryshawn is a very good player. Vincent is a seasoned player. We depend on them to practically take the team forward.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ray. All the best in the competition. Moving on to now the D-Threads T2 Gold Splashes. And a representative from that team is making his way, Jelani Robinson, the nature boy and captain of the T2 Gold Splashes. And Jelani, well, quite an interesting draft. Looks like you were really able to shake things up. Just talk to me a bit about the selections.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting draft. Myself and the coach had a few discussions. One of the other senior players had a big part to play, which is Giddy. Even though this last game, Giddy captained the team. Yeah, that's something we're looking at this year as well. So he had a big part to play in the selecting of the team.
Mm-hmm. All right, in terms of some of the standout players, some of the big names that you're able to select, just a quick word on them and the reasoning behind their selections.
Obviously, T10 is a fast-paced game, and you need mostly two skill sets. So if you look at it, we picked early on guys who can do both. Give us something with the bat and still, give us one or two designated. So it's a all-around, and then people like Doggy. Dylan has the most runs in St. Vincent T10. He did decent last year. He's been dominating Tobago T10. So. Giddy. We know what Giddy brings to the table. Lex was wonderful last year. John and Joel. So at the end of the day, you have to, when people do well, you have to reward them. So that was the main thinking behind these players, to be honest.
All right. Thank you very much, Jelani Robinson. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, moving by quickly, we're going to see if we can get some words from the Indian River Rowers and the head coach, Augustine Beno Pascal, making his way to the head table. Indian River Rowers had a bit of a disappointing campaign in the 4th edition, but based on the players that they were able to draft for the 5th edition, looks like maybe things may turn around. Augustine Beno Pascal, your thoughts, your impressions on the draft?
Yeah, we are pretty satisfied with the players we were able to put together. Obviously, it's a draft. Sometimes you target certain players, but you always have to have a backup, and I felt having said that, we were able to put a very good team together. What we try to do this year, or this time around, is to put a team that's fully for athleticism. I think we were lacking in that area quite a bit the last time, and we paid much attention to that this time around. So we're looking forward for a very good campaign this time around.
In terms of your overseas players selected, quick word on them?
Oh yeah, the general public know what they bring to the table. These are formidable players in Ryan John and Ned, both of them from Grenada. Very exciting players, and there's a lot to look forward. This time we missed out on Darren, we missed out on Taj Tavernier, but we were able to cover that area with Jason. So that makes our balance very formidable this time around.
All right, thank you very much, Augustine Beno Pascal. All right, so 2 more teams to go. We have the Sari Sunrisers, who were finalists last year, and of course the Barano Oti Warriors, who are former champions themselves. Sari Sunrisers, they're making their way. The coach, Sam Kernon, is coming to give us some thoughts, some insight into his selections. And Sam, what did you make of the draft in terms of the players that you were able to pull out this time?
Again, we have secured the majority of the players that we really wanted. What we initially did was we kept the core of Sari finalists, losing by 1 run last edition. So that's basically what we did.
You were able to add some key additions, though. How much do you think, they will influence your team this time around?
Yeah, well, we acquired Darren Benter. He's an Antiguan. He plays in the Antigua League. He's a wicketkeeper batsman, and he's a replacement for Dion Burton, who no longer here. So basically, I think it's a good team that we have. I tend not to go to Barbados and stuff like that. I like to develop young and Leeward Islands players from St. Kitts, that kind of thing.
All right. Like you said, you lost Dion Burton. You were able to get Benter. A lot of people are not familiar with Benter. It might be a new name to a lot of cricketers here.
Yeah, but that is true. Kofi James was also a new name when we got him 2 editions ago. And as you see, Kofi is one of the crowd favorites in Dominica. And I think Benter will be doing the same thing as well.
All right, and you're confident that you have a squad, that you can repeat or even do better. One run you missed out last time.
No, that's correct. I think I went more for experience this time. And there's certain people in my squad that have a good rapport, a good karma. For example, Rick James. I've had Rick James twice, and we've been to the finals twice. So, people like that you always have to consider. Delaware Liverpool, he took a championship for me in the first edition. I've acquired him. So I believe in karma.
All right, thank you very much, Sam Cronin, the head coach of the Surrey Sunrisers. Ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to invite the head coach of the Barana Ote Warriors, John Fabian, for a few remarks. And John, former champions, I'm sure you guys are looking to, win the tournament, obviously. Your thoughts as to the players that you were able to, select this afternoon?
Well, I'm very comfortable with the players we were able to retain and the players we were able to select during the draft. We have the likes of Gian Benjamin and Gillon, who is on windward's duty at the moment. We have Stephen Natcham, who is dominating the St. Lucia Dream 11 right now. So we have the likes of Shilon. We are pleased to have brought over Casimir Benjamin, who is an explosive batsman. And then we picked on a number of guys to just balance out the squad. We're comfortable.
And the Warriors, you picked a bunch of guys, basically the core, over the years. So you seem to have found a formula, and it looks like you're going to stick with it, because like they say, if it's not broken, you don't fix it.
Well, over the years, we have been doing well. If you look at our campaign last season, we went unbeaten for the first round, and then we collapsed at the critical moments. But this year, we're looking to push further and go all the way this year.
What really impresses you about your squad?
Huh?
What really impresses you the most about your squad?
Well, we have a mixture of experienced guys, and we have some surprises to the other teams. The likes of Damian Summers, that everybody was surprised to see him being selected. But he's a player who has not been playing for the past couple of years, but he has worked his way back, and I'm pretty sure he'll be surprising a lot of teams.
All right. Well, thank you very much, John Fabian, and all the best.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So that was John Fabian of the Barana Ote Warriors, bringing us to the end of the interview segment for the 5th edition of the Dream 11 HIL T10 tournament. Of course, we'd like to thank you back home for viewing, and we're looking forward to your company come the 23rd of June at Windsor Park, when we will be having some 2 weeks of exciting cricket action. Like they say, everyone is coming down to the stadium, and we will see you there. See you on the 23rd of June.